Rank number 1. Diamond, the indestructible eternity. In 1905, deep in a South African mine, a worker found a glint no larger than his thumbnail, a crystal so flawless that sunlight split around it like a blade. It would become the Cullinan diamond, weighing more than 3,100 carats, later carved into the crowns of British monarchs. But what no one talks about is that this perfect stone was once feared, not worshipped. Ancient texts warned, the diamond remembers every lie, every wound, every sin of its owner, absorbed, sealed, and never forgotten. A diamond is pure carbon, crystallized under pressure 700,000 times greater than Earth's atmosphere, more than 150 kilometers underground. It forms where magma meets eternity. In kimberlite pipes scattered through South Africa, Russia, Canada, and India's Golconda region, the legendary cradle of royal gems. Each facet is a frozen earthquake, matter rearranged by violence into clarity. That's why miners once said a diamond doesn't shine, it testifies. To the ancient Indians, it was Vajra, the thunderbolt, the weapon of the gods that could destroy poison. Persian healers placed diamonds in water to absorb illness. Medieval physicians believed they purified wine. And when a cursed king died, his diamond was said to carry his spiritual residue to the next wearer. A beauty that demanded a price. Even today, gem traders whisper that some stones choose their owners, not the other way around. But what no one talks about is that the legend hides a fragment of truth. A diamond doesn't simply reflect light, it captures it, bending photons inside for fractions of a second before releasing them in bursts of spectral fire. It literally stores energy. Every flash you see is light that entered and could not escape, until now. In its perfection lies imprisonment. In its brilliance, memory. Today, flawless Golconda, typed at second a diamonds can reach $200,000 per carat, and museum pieces are beyond valuation, yet their worth isn't measured in carats alone. It's in time, in history, in every life they've passed through. Some sparkle beneath palace ceilings, others lie locked in vaults, never again to see the sun. And as gemologists polish their surfaces to mirror brightness, they often forget the oldest truth whispered in every ancient tomb. The diamond isn't immortal because it cannot break. It is immortal because it remembers everything that tried to. Rank number 10, Obsidian, the mirror of shadows. For 70 years, this stone was banned from trade, not because it was toxic, but because people believed it could swallow the soul of its owner. Yet today, its price rivals some industrial-grade diamonds. Why would a piece of volcanic glass become the world's most misunderstood guardian? Obsidian is born in chaos, forged when lava cools so fast that it never has time to crystallize. You can find it across volcanic belts of Central America, Turkey, Armenia, and Japan. In Guatemala, archaeologists have uncovered jet-black obsidian mirrors used by the ancient Maya. Mirrors not meant to reflect the face, but the spirit. Its surface, polished to liquid darkness, captures faint glimmers of light like a watchful eye from another realm. Colors range from deep black to rainbow sheen, with metallic bands that shimmer like trapped auroras. When fractured, its edges are sharper than steel, a trait that made it the ritual blade of Aztec priests, used not only for sacrifice, but for the idea of cutting away impurity itself. For millennia, cultures believed obsidian could absorb illness, fear, and malevolent energy, locking it inside its glassy heart. In Mexico, shamans called it Itzli, the blade of darkness. During moonlit purification rites, they left obsidian under lunar rays, believing it would exhale what it had consumed. a kind of spiritual respiration between earth and night. But what no one talks about is this. Even after those rituals, some obsidian stones seem to keep breathing. Collectors have noticed their hue shifting ever so slightly over the years, as if the stone itself remembers. Archaeologists at Teotihuacan, the ancient city of the gods, discovered royal tombs surrounded by obsidian mirrors angled toward the sky. Some theorize they were gateways, devices for speaking with the departed. Today, rainbow sheen obsidian jewelry sells for $1,000 to $4,000 per carat, while mirror-grade slabs from Guatemala can reach $30,000, valued not just for their beauty, but for the mysteries they reflect. So the question remains, are we wearing a jewel of protection or carrying a fragment of the Earth's own memory? Rank number 9. Shungite, the stone that purifies life. In 2011, scientists discovered a stone that could neutralize radiation and kill bacteria without chemicals. What they didn't expect was that this same black mineral had been sitting quietly for 2 billion years, older than all multicellular life on Earth. But here's what no one tells you. Shungite may not belong entirely to our planet. Shungite is found almost exclusively in Karelia, a remote region of northwestern Russia, near the ancient village of Shunga, the source of its name. It forms in vast carbon-rich deposits that stretch for kilometers, buried deep in layers of Precambrian rock. Locals have mined it since the 18th century, when Peter the Great ordered its use in purifying water for soldiers during Russia's wars. At first glance, it looks simple, a dull black stone smooth as river coal, but under the microscope it reveals fullerenes, molecular cages of carbon shaped like microscopic spheres. And that's where the mystery begins. Fullerenes don't occur naturally in large quantities on Earth. They usually form under cosmic conditions, like meteorite impacts or interstellar dust. So why do massive veins of shungite exist here, perfectly preserved beneath Russian soil? Some researchers suspect it could be the remnant of a fallen celestial body, absorbed by Earth during its earliest epochs. In folklore, however, its purpose is far less alien and far more human. For centuries, Russian healers called it the black sponge of life. They believed it could absorb sickness, cleanse the body of fatigue, and repel unseen forces of decay. But the hidden truth is even stranger. Laboratory studies have shown that shungite's fullerenes can neutralize free radicals, the same unstable molecules responsible for aging and disease. When worn as jewelry or kept in water, it's said to drink what is harmful and return what is pure. Modern collectors now seek elite silver-grade shungite, a rare variety with metallic luster and 98% carbon purity. Its value has soared to $500 to $2,000 per carat, depending on quality and origin. So the question remains, is shungite a miracle of chemistry or a relic of the stars, still protecting the living from the energy that birthed it? Rank number 8. Malachite, the absorber of pain. In 1910, miners in the Congo unearthed a gemstone so vivid that local elders refused to touch it. They said it could drink the pain of anyone who wears it. But what few people know is that this hypnotic green stone once lined the walls of Russian palaces, not for beauty, but for protection against death. Malachite is a copper carbonate mineral, forming in the oxidized zones of copper ore deposits. Its swirling rings of emerald and forest green make it look alive, as if the earth itself had painted veins of movement through stone. Major sources lie in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Ural Mountains of Russia, and Zambia, where the finest gem-grade malachite still emerges from hand-carved shafts cut into red dust. It's brittle, fragile, and requires delicate extraction. Miners polish it with water to prevent the stone from cracking as they lift it from the veins like pieces of green flame. For ancient Egyptians, malachite was more than decoration. They crushed it into powder for eye paint and healing elixirs, believing it absorbed sickness through the skin. In medieval Europe, mothers tied malachite beads around infants to ward off fevers and nightmares. And deep beneath St. Petersburg, Catherine the Great's architects used entire slabs of it to build the Malachite Room, a chamber said to trap negative energy before it reached the royal family. But the story never ends there, because the hidden property of malachite isn't its color, it's its behavior. When exposed to heat or human contact, malachite slowly darkens, as if it's taking in something invisible. Healers call it a living filter, claiming it draws out pain, grief, or poison, then dulls and cracks once it's full. And the scientific irony? Malachite really does react with toxins. Its copper content binds to acids and moisture, changing its structure over time. In other words, it absorbs more than legend. Today, gem-quality malachite is carved into jewelry and art pieces that can reach $800 to $5,000 per carat, depending on the clarity of its concentric rings. Collectors seek pieces with perfect eyes, circular patterns that seem to stare back at you. And as one archaeologist once wrote after studying a tomb lined with malachite tiles, "If beauty could breathe, this stone would be the Earth's heartbeat." Rank number 7, Onyx. The Night Watcher. In ancient Persia, there was a black stone so feared that kings ordered it buried with the dead. They believed it could trap nightmares and feed on the darkness of human hearts. But centuries later, when archaeologists found those tombs, the onyx still shimmered, untouched by time, untouched by death. The question is, what exactly was it protecting? Onyx is a cryptocrystalline form of quartz, born inside gas cavities of cooling lava. Layer by layer, silica and iron seep through volcanic rock, creating the parallel black and white bands that define its identity. Most onyx today comes from Brazil, India, Mexico, and Yemen, though the oldest ritual carvings were found near Ecbatana, Iran, dating back more than 2,000 years. When light passes over its polished surface, the dark zones seem to absorb the glow, like an eye that never closes. For ancient priests, that was no illusion. They called it the Night Watcher. In temples of Babylon, onyx amulets were worn during exorcisms to absorb evil spirits expelled from the sick. In Rome, soldiers carved it into signet rings to guard their willpower against fear in battle. And in Arabia, women placed small discs of onyx beneath pillows to ward off shadow beings that came in sleep. But what no one talks about is how perfectly onyx fits the role it was given. Not just symbolically, but scientifically. The stone structure is dense, layered, and non-porous, allowing it to endure extreme pressure without cracking. That resilience is why modern sculptors still use it for ritual bowls and funerary ornaments. It resists decay the way legends say it resists evil. Even its black hue is not truly black. Under magnification, it's a tangle of deep red and brown bands, each a record of mineral storms frozen in time. It is, quite literally, a diary of Earth's dark moments. Today, gem-grade onyx jewelry sells for $300 to $2,500 per carat, depending on the precision of its banding. The rarest shadow onyx, which glows faintly under ultraviolet light, can reach $8,000 per carat, prized not for its brightness, but for its silence. So the mystery remains. Is onyx simply a stone of protection? or the silent witness of everything humanity has tried to forget. Rank number 6. Amber, the golden time capsule. In 2019, a tiny piece of amber sold for over $40,000. Not because of its color, but because it trapped a 99-million-year-old dinosaur tail still covered in feathers. Scientists called it a time machine the size of a fingernail. But what most people don't realize is that amber has been guarding human life and death for over 10,000 years. Amber isn't a mineral. It's fossilized tree resin, hardened over millions of years through heat, pressure, and time. It seeps from prehistoric conifers and buries insects, pollen, and even droplets of air that once belonged to the Age of Giants. The richest deposits lie along the Baltic Sea, Lithuania, Poland, and Kaliningrad, where waves still wash up fragments of glowing gold after every storm. In Burma's Kachin region, Cretaceous amber is mined from mountains so ancient that locals call them the trees that bled light. When you hold a piece of amber up to the sun, you're not looking at color, you're looking at memory. The honey glow is the trapped sunlight of forgotten forests. For the ancient Greeks, amber was electron, the origin of the word electricity. They discovered it could attract straw and dust when rubbed, as if alive. To the Egyptians, it was a tear of Ra, worn by priests to absorb disease and repel plague. And across medieval Europe, nobles burned amber smoke to purify sick rooms, believing its scent could chase away evil spirits. But what no one talks about is the strange truth. Amber really does interact with the living. It's naturally electrostatic, capable of holding a mild charge that attracts dust and particles. And within its molecular lattice, scientists have found organic acids that inhibit bacterial growth. A scientific echo of ancient belief. It does protect. Gem-grade amber ranges from honey yellow to deep cognac, sometimes containing perfect inclusions, frozen insects, leaves, or raindrops that never evaporated. The finest sunburst amber from the Baltic coast can reach $3,000 to $10,000 per carat, while rare Burmese amber with preserved life forms has exceeded $50,000 per piece at auction. But no matter the price, every fragment tells the same quiet truth. Amber doesn't just hold time. It holds the breath of worlds that will never return. Rank number 5. Hematite, blood of the earth. In 2021, NASA's rover found hematite crystals on Mars, scattered like dried blood across the planet's surface. But long before space scientists took notice, ancient healers already called it the stone that bleeds. The strange part? When polished, hematite shines like silver, but when broken, it turns red. How can a stone look like metal, yet bleed like life? Hematite is an iron oxide mineral, one of Earth's oldest companions, born where water once met molten rock. It appears in massive beds near Brazil, Australia, and South Africa, and deep inside the mountain veins of Cumbria, England, where miners once called it the blood ore. Each fragment carries a mirror-like sheen, so reflective that ancient artisans in Mesopotamia carved it into seals instead of bronze. When crushed, it leaves a deep crimson streak, the same pigment that painted prehistoric caves in France and tribal faces in Africa for over 40,000 years. To the ancients, hematite wasn't just a mineral, it was the heart of battle and rebirth. Roman soldiers wore amulets of it to absorb wounds meant for the flesh. In Egypt, priests ground it into powder to anoint the dead, believing it sealed the soul's passage to the afterlife. In Greece, it was named Haima, meaning blood. But what no one talks about is that hematite's power is more than myth. It's physics. Because hematite contains iron in its purest natural form, it can influence electromagnetic fields, subtly altering compass readings and magnetism. Some researchers suggest this magnetic signature might explain its ancient reputation for absorbing pain and energy. When worn close to the skin, the metal content warms instantly, almost alive, conducting heat like a pulse. That's why modern energy healers still call it a grounding stone, a silent bridge between the body's energy and the Earth's heartbeat. On the market, hematite jewelry ranges from $200 to $2,000 per carat, but rare iridescent, specular hematite, glittering with microscopic silver crystals, can fetch $8,000 or more. Collectors prize those specimens not for their shine, but for what they represent: the paradox of life buried in stone, the proof that even Earth's iron heart once bled with color. Rank number 4, Jade, the stone of immortal harmony. In 2014, a single jade necklace sold for $27 million at auction, not because of its size, but because every bead was said to breathe. The Chinese called it Yu, the essence of heaven and earth. But buried beneath that serenity is a story of war, blood, and belief, because jade has been worshipped as the stone of immortality for over 7,000 years. Jade is not a single mineral, but two, jadeite and nephrite, born in the violent embrace of tectonic plates, where continents collide and the earth folds under pressure. Its color ranges from milky white to imperial green, with the rarest shade, imperial jade, found almost exclusively in Myanmar's Kachin Hills. There, miners still cut through cliffs of serpentine rock by hand, chasing veins of green so luminous they seem lit from within. The process is brutal, months of excavation for a stone no larger than a thumbnail, yet each fragment can hold the value of gold. For ancient China, jade wasn't a gem, it was a philosophy. Confucius called it the virtue of heaven. Emperors were buried in jade suits, thousands of tiles stitched with gold thread to preserve the flesh from decay. Mesoamerican civilizations, from the Olmecs to the Maya, also revered it as the breath of life. To them, green jade represented maize, the seed of rebirth, and was placed inside the mouths of kings at burial so they could speak again in the next world. But what no one talks about is how jade behaves like something alive. It is tougher than steel by weight, its fibrous structure interlocking like muscle tissue. When handled, it warms with body heat, and when struck, it emits a deep, bell-like tone, as if resonating with the human pulse. That strange harmony made it sacred to both scientists and shamans. One saw chemistry, the other saw spirit. Today, imperial jadeite from Myanmar can reach $10,000 to $30,000 per carat, with top pieces auctioned for millions. Collectors claim to feel calm when holding it. Others say it chooses its owner. But the truth might be simpler and far more haunting. Jade doesn't symbolize immortality. It's the Earth's way of remembering that even death must stay beautiful. Rank number 3, Pearl, Tears of Immortality. In 1917, a single strand of natural pearls was traded for a Fifth Avenue mansion in New York, worth over $15 million today. The reason? People believed pearls were born from tears of the divine, but what no one knew was that these tears came from a living creature's wound. And every pearl begins with pain. Unlike any other gemstone, a pearl isn't forged in fire or stone. It's grown by life itself. It forms when an irritant, like a grain of sand or a parasite, enters an oyster's shell. To protect itself, the mollusk secretes layers of nacre, mother of pearl, until the invader is sealed inside a perfect sphere of light. Most natural pearls are found in the Persian Gulf, the Indian Ocean, and the South Seas, but the rarest, the fabled La Peregrina, was discovered off the coast of Panama in the 1500s and later worn by queens, from Mary Tudor to Elizabeth Taylor. For ancient civilizations, pearls weren't ornaments, they were symbols of purity and resurrection. The Chinese called them moon's tears. In Japan, legend says they were the tears of mythical mermaids. In ancient Rome, generals wore them into battle, believing they absorbed fear and misfortune from their owners. And in India, pearls were used in medicine, powdered and mixed with honey to cool the body and absorb illness. But what no one talks about is that pearls are alive in ways most stones are not. Their iridescent glow, that shimmering play of color known as orient, comes from microscopic layers of aragonite crystal bending light like ripples on water. Each layer records the oyster's struggle, the rhythm of tides, even the chemistry of ancient seas. In a sense, every pearl is a biological time capsule, shaped by both pain and survival. Today, the world's finest South Sea pearls, large, luminous, and perfectly round, can reach $10,000 to $20,000 per carat. Natural, uncut pearls from before the 20th century are nearly extinct. Divers rarely find one in every 10,000 oysters. And yet, when held against the skin, a pearl always feels warm, almost human. Maybe that's why they were called tears of immortality, because in everyone something once suffered and chose to shine instead. Rank number 2, Lapis Lazuli, the star map of pharaohs. In 1922, when archaeologists opened the tomb of Tutankhamun, they found something more radiant than gold, a blue stone scattered across his death mask like pieces of the night sky. It wasn't sapphire, it wasn't glass. It was lapis lazuli, the oldest gem humanity ever called the flesh of gods. But the real mystery is this: the mine that produced it has almost vanished, and its location was hidden for 6,000 years. Lapis lazuli is a metamorphic rock composed of lazurite, pyrite, and calcite, a rare blend that gives it that celestial ultramarine glow with specks of gold like distant stars. It's found mainly in the Sar-e-Sang mines of Afghanistan, deep in the mountains of Badakhshan, a region so remote it has supplied the world's lapis since 7000 BC. These veins lie frozen in marble cliffs above ancient trade routes known as the Silk Road, where caravans carried blue dust to Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Rome. To the ancient Egyptians, lapis wasn't just color, it was cosmic order. They believed it carried the energy of the heavens, connecting the soul to eternity. Priests ground it into powder to paint the eyes of statues, hoping the gods could see through stone. Pharaohs wore it close to the heart to repel evil and deceit, while their queens, like Cleopatra, used crushed lapis as eyeshadow, a ritual not of vanity, but of power. In Mesopotamia, it was called Uknu, stone of the sky. And to the Sumerians, each vein of gold pyrite symbolized a path of the stars, mapping the journey of souls beyond death. But what no one talks about is the strange consistency of its myth. Every civilization that touched lapis, from Egypt to Persia, Greece to Tibet, believed it came from another world, and modern geology gives a hint of truth. Its unique lazurite signature traces back to mineral conditions that no longer exist on Earth's surface. In a way, it really is a fragment of a lost sky. Today, the finest Afghan royal blue lapis commands $1,000 to $8,000 per carat, while ancient carved pieces from dynastic tombs are literally priceless. Under magnification, Pyrite glints like constellations, miniature galaxies locked in stone. So perhaps that's why pharaohs buried it across their hearts, not as ornament, but as a map, a guide for the soul to find its way home among the stars. Rank number 1, Diamond, the indestructible eternity. In 1905, deep in a South African mine, a worker found a glint no larger than his thumbnail, a crystal so flawless that sunlight split around it like a blade. It would become the Cullinan diamond, weighing more than 3,100 carats, later carved into the crowns of British monarchs. But what no one talks about is that this perfect stone was once feared, not worshipped. Ancient texts warned, "The diamond remembers every lie, every wound, every sin of its owner, absorbed, sealed, and never forgotten." A diamond is pure carbon, crystallized under pressure 700,000 times greater than Earth's atmosphere, more than 150 kilometers underground. It forms where magma meets eternity. In kimberlite pipes scattered through South Africa, Russia, Canada, and India's Golconda region, the legendary cradle of royal gems. Each facet is a frozen earthquake, matter rearranged by violence into clarity. That's why miners once said a diamond doesn't shine, it testifies. To the ancient Indians, it was Vajra, the thunderbolt, the weapon of the gods that could destroy poison. Persian healers placed diamonds in water to absorb illness. Medieval physicians believed they purified wine. And when a cursed king died, his diamond was said to carry his spiritual residue to the next wearer. A beauty that demanded a price. Even today, gem traders whisper that some stones choose their owners, not the other way around. But what no one talks about is that the legend hides a fragment of truth. A diamond doesn't simply reflect light, it captures it, bending photons inside for fractions of a second before releasing them in bursts of spectral fire. It literally stores energy. Every flash you see is light that entered and could not escape, until now. In its perfection lies imprisonment. In its brilliance, memory. Today, flawless Golconda, type that second diamonds can reach $200,000 per carat, and museum pieces are beyond valuation, yet their worth isn't measured in carats alone. It's in time, in history, in every life they've passed through. Some sparkle beneath palace ceilings, others lie locked in vaults, never again to see the sun. And as gemologists polish their surfaces to mirror brightness, they often forget the oldest truth whispered in every ancient tomb. The diamond isn't immortal because it cannot break. It is immortal because it remembers everything that tried to. Every stone you've seen tonight once carried a secret. Some absorbed pain, some swallowed light, and one remembered everything that tried to destroy it. From the volcanic birth of Obsidian to the eternal brilliance of diamond, each gem is more than beauty. It's a witness of time, and somewhere beneath the ground right now, another one is waiting. Waiting to be found, waiting to tell its story. If you've enjoyed this journey into the hidden world of gemstones, please like this video. It truly helps us continue uncovering these forgotten treasures. And if this is your first time on World of Gem, subscribe to join our next expedition, where we'll explore the lost stones of power, the crystals once believed to bend destiny itself. Thank you for being part of this journey, for watching, for wondering, and for believing that the Earth still has stories worth listening to. I'm your host, and this is World of Gem. Until next time, keep your curiosity alive and your eyes open for the next sparkle beneath the dust.